Okay, can you hear me? Thank you. So Chancellor, thank you. Vice Chancellor, thank you. To my faculty colleagues here, and I emphasize the word colleague, thank you. To the young people here in the audience, you make me feel very good. Thank you for being here. This is an exciting time for this campus. We're moving into a new decade. We are moving into a new organizational structure. We're a private university. We have good leadership. We can take on some of the big challenges. What I'm going to share with you today is a theme that is near and dear to my heart. It's a theme that I have talked about quite a bit over the last 30 years with my students at Cornell University. It's a theme that I picked up when I was young, like you folks here, as a student at Michigan State University. So a good part of my message today is to you young folks and urging you to take responsibility for making our world. So I'm a reader. I didn't start out as a reader. Growing up as a teenager in Detroit, Michigan, the only thing I read was science fiction. I love science fiction, and this is something I share with our chancellor. Okay. I go up to a university, Michigan State University, and my world expands beyond science fiction to other literature, and I'm glad that happened, because I'm a better person for that. This book, Only One World, published by this gentleman, Gerard Pill, is something very special to me. I have given out more than 50 copies of this book to students and colleagues because I think it's inspirational. Pill was an interesting human being. He graduated from Harvard University with a Bachelor of Arts. Not science, not technology, but Bachelor of Arts. He was a science editor for the magazine Life, publisher of Scientific America, chairman of Scientific America, and the publisher of this book, One World. Think about this, someone coming out of the field of art, the humanities, and then having this platform to view science and technology and culture and to write this book. And what I want to convey to you young folks is that you're going to graduate from here, but you need to continue to grow. SVV, this campus has given you the foundation, but the expectation is that you're going to continue to grow. We're going to talk about how you grow as we move along with the presentation. So, look at this title. Let's begin to dissect the title. Only One World. I think we'll all agree there's only one India, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Good, good. And so, for the time being, we have only this one planet. You only have one India. That is what I pull away from that title. So as much as I like to think that we're reaching for the stars, I'm a big Star Trek fan, okay? I always wanted to be an engineering officer on a starship. That's not happening anytime soon. We have ambition. India is going to the moon. You're there. We're moving forward. But the bottom line is we've got this one world now. Maybe in 100 years, we're colonizing Mars, other planets. If we want to be around to do that colonization, we better take care of the planet we have here today. That's a powerful thing to keep in mind. So let's not get distracted. Only one world. Perspective. Think about where life occurs on the planet. Okay? It occurs at the very bottom of the ocean and as high as the mountains. That's about 20,000 kilometers in length. If you compare it to the diameter of the Earth, which is something like 70,000 kilometers, okay, what we're basically saying is life is occurring in the fuzz around the peach. Think about that. The fuzz on the peach would represent life on Earth. That's a perspective to have in mind. In essence, folks, we are a biofilm on this planet. We occupy this rock in this very thin biofilm that we have to manage. That perspective is what Peele gave me. I never thought about the world that way until I read Peele's book. And so one of the things I'm going to urge you young folks to do is to read broadly, because that's how you begin to get different perspectives on how you engage life. So, Peele documented trends. He documented trends in population, food production, energy resource utilization. You've heard these numbers. I've given those presentations. Projections about where we're going to go with the population. Human condition, population growth, birth and death rates. These are nice statistics, okay? But we need those trends. We need to understand those trends if we're going to modify them for the good of humankind. He was not the first to document this concern about population and food resources. We had Thomas Malthus, famous, talking about exponential growth in population. We had the Eckridge, who talked about the population bombs. All of these books were very, very upsetting because they predict dire consequences for humankind. Or Dr. Cabanas, who talked about how our activity is influencing other life on this planet. We tend to be very human-centric, and we don't think about the fact that part of the joy, the magic of being on this one earth is the diversity of life at multiple levels. So what we do impacts that diversity. I come out of a systems science background as part of my PhD training, talking about interconnected processing and activities. And Jay Forster was the father of industrial dynamics, using linear, what we call linear and nonlinear systems dynamics. The engineers understand what I'm talking about, to look at industrial processes. He teamed up with microbiologists, an environmental scientist, Danielle Nettles. That combination of industrial dynamics, environmental science, led to this book published in '73, Limits to Growth. Now, I'm realizing I'm getting old, okay? Because when I tell people I'm a generation of the Limits to Growth group, I get blank looks, okay? People say, what's this man talking about? But this book was so pivotal in the '70s. It had Wall Street worked up. It had the Defense Agency worked out, because it was a group of simulation that looked at this connection between energy, food, environmental quality. And for the first time, we're not talking about this in just words. We're talking about this in terms of computer simulations. Okay. Those computer simulations predicted dire consequences for China and India. Those computer simulations said India was going to collapse by now. India hasn't collapsed. Why not? Computer simulation tell you the current trends. They can't tell you about how you transform those trends, how we innovate. Okay, we're going to begin to talk about innovation here. So, two questions come out of only one world. Are we going to accept the fact that we currently have one world, and we're going to work to make this place? Or are we going to accept the dire consequences of computer simulation? Okay. I tend to want to be an optimistic person. My two daughters tell me I'm too optimistic, but okay, I tend to be an optimistic person. I want us to make this planet. And I don't want to make this planet just in terms of us having the basics. I want us to make this planet special, magical. I want nature. I want music. I want literature. Okay. How do we do that? How do we work together to achieve that? So, holistic. Often you will hear me today talk about how Michigan State University influenced me. I'm a graduate of Michigan State University. And this professor here, Herman Koenig, was part of the systems engineering program. And some things in this quote here. We are the dominant species on this planet. We have to learn how to engineer, and I'm using engineering in a broad sense now here, human habitat, industry, agriculture, to be in compatibility with natural systems. Okay. He's not saying that we do this just to have fun. We're doing this for good. That's a noble goal for us to take on. And I'm a big believer in noble goals. I also am a dreamer. But eventually, you've got to find a way to transform dreams into reality. You just can't dream. We got to work among ourselves. And how do we come up with collective dreams? Not just a Larry Walker dream. So, of course, there's a tendency to talk about the great science that we're doing. Okay? And there's times I wear the role of a scientist. And gene editing is on the radar, big time. Nanoscale physics. We had this beautiful nanoscale physics program at Michigan State focused on biology. Data sciences. Everyone in agriculture is getting excited about data sciences. Big data, okay? And AI. These are tools that we deploy to address problems. Mere tools. Now we need them. And we need young folks with expertise in these areas and other fields that help us alter trends with the world. And Gerard Pill was a big champion through the magazine Scientific America of we do scientific discovery around the world. And in India, you're doing that. You've always done that. Math, physics, chemistry, biology. That is core to this culture. This is core to this society. That's nothing different. Okay. This technology is exciting. Drones. How do we begin to bring drones into agriculture and environmental activity? Robotics. What are the challenges of robotics in terms of labor and livelihood? Now we move away from the technology part of that and we move into this whole question of livelihood economics. Solar panels. I have 10.3 kilowatts of solar power at my house in Ithaca, New York. I'm trying to figure out a way of going off grid so that if we have a zombie apocalypse, I will still have my power. The other thing I'm very excited about is electric vehicles. And I'm going to go on record here in the public today to say that I am one of the 250,000 people who have placed an order for the Tesla Cybertruck. Wow! Okay. So when the Chancellor and his charming wife visit me in Ithaca, I'm going to drive you around Ithaca in my Cybertruck. Okay. We want to do things like this because we want to change the patterns. Would you agree with me? Yeah. Ah, good. But what we're talking about here is not technology. What we're talking about are human beings. The other place where Peel had a big impact on me, a modifier for me, is up to the time I read Peel, I taught sustainable development. Sustainable development. Peel maybe alter that phrase just a little. Sustainable human development. Okay? It's how we develop as a species on this planet that's going to influence how we make our world. So he got me doing that. And when we talk about human development, we talk about wants and needs. Of course we need food and water. We need shelter and clothing. We need human interaction. That's part of my evolution because I grew up as a nerd, okay? And this notion of human interaction wasn't on my radar, okay? I'm glad I learned to interact with human beings. Local security. You want to be safe in your community. Energy for heating and cooking. We want health care. But we also want music. We want literature. We want art, okay? That's part of us as human beings. We want to connect with nature. Nature is awesome. It's part of the magic of life. Okay? So we never want to lose track of these human wants and needs. What makes us human? And so as we move forward, we've got to look at how those wants and needs are coupled with old and new technology, with scientific discovery and methods, but also policy. Policy can have a big transformational impact in the society. Okay? Economics. If you ignore economics, my dear engineering colleagues, you're going to be in trouble real quick. Okay? Experience. Now, experience can be a double-edged sword. Okay? I'm going to tackle that right now. So in India, you respect older people. You respect people with titles. For me, that's part of my southern roots in the U.S. Respect is earned. You can't let respect get in the way of questioning. Okay? Sometime when you're old, you're not in tune with the problems. So if you don't challenge my assumption, I'm going to give you faulty solutions. So this is why over the years I've been coming in here, I've been trying to play down my background, my titles, and say, I need a dialogue with you about how we're going to make this world. But as soon as we start throwing up these titles, okay, it gets in the way of that dialogue. Okay. But experience is good. The philosopher Kant said, experiments or experience without theory is blind. Theory without experience is merely an intellectual play. So we need to bring experience into our activities as we move forward. Education, that's what you're here for. Education is transformative. I'll tell you a little story about me a little later. Vision. We need visionaries to make this world. And if we can throw all of this into a fermenter and boil it up, we can come up with solutions. And I always like to have solutions as plural, not singular. We're not looking for one solution. We would like to have a whole mosaic of possibilities that we can pick and choose for to address challenges. Policy. Of course, you can imagine, I'm a big fan of Barack Obama. Okay. Enlightened policy, and you can't barely see this, is the National Bioeconomy document. Policy can drive us in the right direction. The U.S. did, in the late 1990s, a national nano initiative. The government said, this is strategically important for us. They write the document out. They provide a vision. And they provide the money. Because the other thing I'm going to tell you young folks here, some of my faculty colleagues, you can't do things if you don't have resources. So you can dream big. But the next thing you have to do is, again, to translate those dreams by finding the resources to do it. And so you get policy that's looking at tomorrow, where we're going. Okay? So having policy is an important part of the equation. Now this is where my SVB colleagues can help me out. When I come in here for meetings with my MSU colleagues, I need to understand the policy initiatives in India. If I don't know, you read my American policy initiatives here? Well, I'm not sure they're going to work too well together. Economics. The beauty for me with India is an entrepreneurial society. Well, let me rephrase that. Mumbai is an entrepreneurial society. I can't speak for the rest of India, but what I see around here, I'm just like, oh, there's these little shops everywhere. Okay? That entrepreneurial spirit is important for us. It means that we feel that we can do something, that we can do things. I love this book, The Entrepreneurial State. It's by an economist, Mary Ann Mazzucato, okay, an Italian woman, wrote a beautiful book about the myth about government investment in technology. Okay, I'm a product of an American investment in science and technology. So when I came up as a student at Michigan State University, I got low interest loans through what was called the National Defense Initiative. Okay. Policy and economics come together because all of a sudden, after the World War II, Korean War, the U.S. said, we need to have a generation of computer scientists, engineers, to can keep the economy moving forward. Okay? That was a government investment, not industry. So there's a place in this whole innovation space for government, for industry, for NGOs to help move us forward. So remember, partnering is a key part of this. Experience. Okay. I want to thank my SVB colleague, the Chancellor, for giving me opportunity to experience India. Amrita Somaiya, I want to thank you for allowing me to see India through your eyes. I do appreciate that very much. Gaining experience by experiment. Okay. I have a special relationship with your Chancellor. Not because of his title, but because of his mindset. So if you see us at times, we can be like little boys playing. Okay. Here we are looking at a variety of grass that means a lot for his business enterprise. You experiment, you try things. If you experiment, you're going to fail. It happens. The question is whether you pick yourself up from that failure and you continue. Okay. Experience teaches you that you can do that. When I first went abroad, it was a terrifying experience. When I first flew into the Mumbai airport, I said, what have I done? That old fear is coming in. But then if you continue to participate, if you continue to engage, the fear goes down. Okay. Experience teaches you that. And learning from nature. Okay. We should never lose that connection with nature because that is part of the magic of life. That is the magic of being on this planet. We need to be integrating this and how we think about our one world. Education. This is where I'm going to get a little bit biographic. That's me when I was 18 years old. I had hair, okay? Okay? Yes. Then I had daughters, and my hair went away. Okay. University, transformational. I'm a big fan of Michigan State University. The chancellor would tell you, I've got a problem. I bleed a little bit red and white, which is Cornell. I bleed quite a bit green and white, which is Michigan State. And it's not just the formal coursework. It's having mentors, okay, like this gentleman. This is Dr. Fred Bakker Akkerman, a Dutch guy, grew up in the Netherlands. Okay? He grew up in the Netherlands. I grew up in the city of Detroit. What do we have in common? Actually, it turned out a lot in common in terms of our interest in sharing and learning about other people. Your professors here, students, are mentors. The other thing that you want to keep in mind, through your life, you want to have good mentors. Okay? I have mentors here at SVD that are bringing me along. They're teaching me. Some of them here are sitting in this row here. Okay? Continue to find good mentors all through your life. Read, experience. Okay? Go that in your life. When you first go off to school, okay, I'm a poor inner city kid, and the first thing that's popping in my mind is that I want to get a degree so I can get a good job. I want to be able to buy my Ford Mustang convertible, okay? Eventually you get to the point where you begin to think it's not about money. It's about mission. You want to do some good. You want to do some good for society. And then you find yourself transformed. You may have less hair, okay? A few more wrinkles, but you have more rewards, okay? And my interaction with my SVD colleagues, with the students here, has been rewarding for me. So to young people, remember, it's a continuum of growth and development. I want to talk about visionaries again. Vision is important. This is President John Kennedy. He's the one that sent the U.S. to the moon. George Bernard Shaw, a playwright, Scottish playwright. What did they have in common? This quote that Kennedy took from Shaw. It's a very magical quote. You see things and you say, why? But I dream things that never were, and I say, why not? Think about that, okay? To dare to dream about something different. To make one world, we've got to dream differently. Now, one of the things I have asked my SVP colleagues and the students to do is to broaden my horizon. So I can quote from Western thinkers. I need to be able to integrate in my presentation, as you will in your presentation, the thinking here in India. I know you have scholars, philosophers, scientists who can give us quotes that we can integrate into our activities because they help us move forward. Help my Michigan State colleagues and I to understand that. I can tell you the Chancellor and his charming wife do that with me. They try to bring me along. I'm a slow learner, okay. But we need to do more of that. 3 generations of visionaries responsible for this action. This is a strength that you have here because that gives you sustained leadership, sustained vision. Okay? If we're going to make this world, we need to have sustained visionary leadership. So the way I look at it, if you don't have, let me rephrase it. If you align leadership with mission and with resources, you have the capability of getting things done. But it has to be in alignment. If you don't have the leadership there, it's a problem. If you don't have the resources, it's a problem. But you do need to have visionary leadership. You notice I didn't put the current president in my presentation. Science fiction, okay, helped build visionary. As a kid, and even as an adult now, my dream is to be an engineering officer at a starship. I'm not sure I want to be captain, it's too much responsibility, but being an engineering officer. Science fiction can inform us, get us thinking about the future. There are Indian science fiction writers. Okay? Incorporate that into your vision. Pull that in. Literature is very important for us. our own to make and keep. And because of lighting, you can't see this, but right here in this core center, I'm saying we've got to create innovation ecologies. Okay? So all of these inputs into innovation are inputs into the human mind. People do the innovation, not computers. We do the innovation. And how do we work with a network of people, a network of cultures to do that? Okay? So again, vision out of this institution to create leaders. This institution wants to create leaders. Excellence in teaching, research, and innovation. Nurturing mind, but also nurturing communities. That is called outreach. When the first wave of my Michigan State University colleagues came to this campus, they were in awe of the campus. This current wave of MSU colleagues are in awe of the campus because right here at SVB, you have a real ecosystem. Okay? Not like any other ecosystem, you've got all kinds of crazy things going on. But it's an ecosystem in the heart of London. Okay? And you're reaching out. I've seen that outreach pick up over the years now. And that's very good to see because we can learn from our communities. We can learn from some of the elders in this community. We need to be open to learning from different people. Mission, to be a world-class institution. Okay? The chairman would like the chancellor would like you to be a world-class organization. He wants you to be innovative, research, promote value education, knowledge, expand our boundary of knowledge, but we also want you to be innovative as we move forward. Now, what are the challenges to that mission success? My faculty colleagues have heard me say time and time again, we've got to talk among ourselves more. We've got to work among ourselves. You can't address these grand challenges in silos. Okay. As much as I think that engineers are a very special group of people, engineers can't do it. Okay? Sorry, engineers, but you just can't do it all. Okay? So how do we reduce silos between disciplines? How do we reduce bureaucracy? Okay? The chancellor will tell you I'm a little bit of a rebel back in the States. It kind of disrupt things. Build a culture of questioning. If I don't ask questions, I don't know. And my ignorance has got me in trouble several times here in India. So it's good to ask questions. Build a culture of risk-taking. And when you find that these risks that you take are not often catastrophic, and you learn from risk-taking. We need to build first-rate infrastructure here. We have to find dollars. And let me tell you, this campus, MSU campus, they don't have deep pockets. So you have to be entrepreneurial and begin to find places where you can bring dollars in to build capacity to do things. Expand multidisciplinary education and research and outreach activities. I keep hammering that, but you've got to do that. And expand partnerships with domestic and international institutions and stakeholders. Okay, so that we learn from each other, develop some shared methods. This is what a great institution will do to make our world. International partnership. Our campus, Michigan State University. Okay, that's the partnership that we've established. It's official. Paperwork has been signed on that. Faculty is going back and forth. We're moving forward. It's a global alliance for food, energy, water, and carbon. Sound noble, right? It is noble. How do we make it work? This is from your chairman. You see I stole your words here. Okay. As our world grows increasingly smaller, because we communicate so easily around the world, our problems and solutions to them need to be addressed together. I love that statement. We're talking about a collaborative effort. It is my hope and belief that this partnership between Michigan State University and Somaiya will bring a fresh perspective and approach to problems. That is my hope as well. That is not only my hope, that is my passion. Okay? That we're going to make this happen. But there are some shared values that we have to pull together. And we do have these shared values. We have the shared value that higher education is a transformative activity. You can take a poor kid from rural Karnataka and translate that kid into an engineer. I was a poor kid from Detroit, Michigan. Michigan State University transformed me into a scholar. I have seen the work of your professors, and I know they're doing this transformative role, and that's key. And that's a vital part of the mission of a university. Provide a well-rounded education for diverse student bodies. So my engineering colleagues, I want you to read more humanities, okay? My life science colleagues, I want you to pay more attention to religious studies and ethics, okay? A great university not only produces specialists, but specialists that can think broadly and can think outside of the box. We have to continue to expand our knowledge of the universe. This is a beautiful universe. There's a lot of magic that we need to get our hands on. We want to continue to do that. Share our understanding of science, technology, and nature to improve the economic and social life of our communities. That was my motivation to move from physics to engineering. Because for me, I thought that was a good avenue for me to have a better impact on communities. I didn't think I would be trying to have an impact here in India. That wasn't on my radar. But it's good that the chancellor brought me into here because I've enjoyed my interactions here. And then engage institutions around the world to address these challenges. So I'm going to move on and mottos. Mythology is important for us. So I love this quote about what this institution is striving for. Knowledge alone liberates. That was a lesson I learned as an undergraduate. Knowledge is liberating. It makes it possible for you to move easier into the world. Michigan State, we have this advertising campaign. This is not a school model in the university, but I like this. Spartan will. Just those two words. We got two ways you can interpret that. Okay? You can say the Spartans have the will, mindset to do things. Or you can say that Spartans will do and address the challenges. Okay? That's why I like those two words. Now, we're going to a partnership. How do we come up with a motto for the partnership? And my Michigan State colleagues, you can share this with the deans when we get back, is with knowledge and will, we shall make and keep our world. That's a starting point for a model for this initiative. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes. Does that make sense? Yes. Thank you. Okay. Some programs are underway. We've already had faculty exchanges between MSU and SVB. We have 5 multi-institutional projects underway. We are collaborating on a proposal to a Rockefeller Foundation that asks us to think visionary about food system. We are nucleating students' teams to build extensive databases because one of my hang-ups as an engineer is that you do your homework first before you propose a solution, not have the solution looking for a problem. And we're going to continue to extend the SVB faculty network. We're moving forward. My MSU colleagues, myself, we still have a lot to learn about the situation here in India, and specifically in the 2 states, Karnataka and Maharashtra. Okay? So help us learn, bring us along. I'm going to wrap up here shortly. Okay? It's a human endeavor. Okay? This is the team yesterday. Ah, you see? I told you I had a surprise for you. Okay? Look at the smiles on their faces. Okay? Isn't that cool? We spent a day dialoguing, interacting with farmers, going to a beautiful market, and we are energized. Okay? I want to leave you with a thought. There is nothing more rewarding than working with noble people on noble projects, noble engagement. Nothing like it. Okay? So, yes. When I get tears in my eyes, it's usually because I see people coming together doing great things. Okay? That's special. Never forget that. So I'm coming in conclusion. There's only one world is ours to make and keep. Why do we want to make and keep this world? It's for the next generation. Okay? Folks, I'm probably not going to be here in 2050, which is the focus of the Rockefeller. Okay? I used to tell my students at Cornell about all these problems that we have to deal with. Then I say, well, you know, I'm going to eventually retire, and I'm going to go lay up on the beach somewhere, and we'll leave all the problems for you. Okay? Okay. But we're preparing this. We're doing this for generations. Because we want the generations to have a special place. So let me just end by saying thank you for your interest and support. And if you see me on campus, grab me.